Hello, big welcome to everyone from all over the world. And it's our third in this series of talks on this most important subject, the Abhidhamma. Before I go there, before I make the final introduction, please, if you're not members, please join. It helps the society and it helps us put on these things regularly so people can get to know something about the Buddha Dharma and how helpful it is. So if you haven't joined, you're not a member, come and join us. It's a lovely society to belong to. Anyway, well, let's get on now with the introduction. So it's my pleasure again to introduce the Venerable Professor Dr. Ven Dhammasami from Shan State Buddhist University in Myanmar. We're talking in the third of this series. And the subject today, very close to our hearts, the three poisons of desire, anger or ill will, and delusion. So, and what we can do about it. But I won't take up any more of your time, your precious time, but hand over to our venerable speaker. And thank you very, very much for putting on this series. I'm most grateful.
Let's start with Namo Tassa 3 times. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Today I'd like to talk about negative emotion, okay, from emotion point of view. This is from psychological point of view. But I'll be using the Abhidhamma analysis to understand that. I'll be using also some clinical psychological or neurological analysis to compare with the Abhidhamma. So today the topic, as Desmond has already told you, is how Abhidhamma analyzes the three roots of negative emotion. The three roots of negative emotion, the three poison. Everybody is familiar with this. You know, after reading Buddhism before, so 1 hour, 2 hours, you can't avoid coming across this. The Buddha talks about the roots of suffering as being these three poisons. Or we can also say the roots of unhappiness, okay, being these three poisons. Then, as we all know, we usually get English translation as greed, hatred, and delusion. Sometimes we get that. We get hatred, anger, and ignorance. Okay, but here I want to draw your attention to the original Pali word, lobha, dosa, and moha. Okay, lobha, dosa, and moha. They are the three negative roots of emotion. When they arise in the mind, they poison the mind. They poison our thoughts. They poison our decision. They poison our relationship with the world, with our loved one, with the people we like, with the people we don't like, with everyone. That is why we also call them three poisons. We also call them three unwholesome roots. Okay. Unwholesome root in the sense that every unwholesome, every negative behavior, action, speech stems from all these three. So what we can do then is to calm the mind, to bring happiness to ourselves, is to reduce, these three poisons, and ultimately to get rid of them, to replace them with positive, with the three roots of positive emotion. That is non-greed, non-hatred, or you can call non-greed as generosity, non-hatred as compassion, and non-delusion as wisdom. So you have generosity, compassion, and wisdom, which I will be talking about next week. We are going to start from the lowest one. It's called threat focus. Threat focus. This is similar to dosa. The word hatred doesn't always cover what the Buddha wants to say with dosa. Dosa simply means destructive emotion or destructive mind. Dosa, exactly, D-O-S-A. Not Indian food, This is about psychology. Not dosa, this is dosa. Psychologically, this chart is from Professor Paul Gilbert from Derby University in England, in Midland, from his book, The Compassionate Mind. He works on this book with a Tibetan monk who knows Abhidhamma, who knows Pitaka and psychology. So threat focus, when we are angry or when we have hatred in our mind, but at that moment we feel threatened. We feel threatened. When we get angry, because the internet gets interrupted, and we develop anxiety because of that. We develop anxiety. Why anxiety? Because we feel that the connection will be lost. We won't be able to talk to each other. We won't get there where we want to go. So we feel threatened. We feel threatened. That is why we get angry. So anger has its focus as threat, so it's threat focus. The same with anxiety. The same with hatred. I would say is with fear also. And why we do that? Why we feel like that? Because we need protection or we need safety. This one comes from, I think, Professor Paul Gilbert, he takes it from Charles Darwin, that fight and flight. Why we fight? Because we need protection, we need safety. We need to protect ourselves. Those days when we had more animals than human beings, wherever we went, we would be threatened by animals. And that threat system, is meant for our survival. But nowadays, just maybe the internet gets interrupted for 2-3 minutes, and that causes us a lot of anxiety, huge anxiety. And this anxiety, we have to ask, is it worth? No, it's not. We do so because it has become a habit. So we activate our threat focus system. That threat focus system, according to neurologists and meditation teachers such as Professor Richard Davidson from Wisconsin University and many other researchers working on the same thing, working in the same field. They say when we operate with the threat focus system, that system inhabits our thinking process. The first is our thinking process. We cannot think properly at that moment. Second thing, it inhibits, it hinders our connection with our fellow human beings. I just would like to go quickly, so that we can relate this to Abhidhamma. You can also look at another one, driven, excited, and vitality. That one. That's called incentive focus or resource focus. Incentive focus is we have an incentive, that is why we do something. We focus on resource, we focus on what we want. We focus on what we want. We want something. You can see that wanting, pursuing, achieving, consuming. We want something, so we go for it and we achieve it, we consume it. After we have consumed it, are we happy? No, we are back to square one. We want it again. We want it again. When we got that, we feel excited. We feel as if, what we have got is so vital for us, for our existence. So we pursue it. Say, hey, we want a degree, we pursue a degree and we achieve it. After we have achieved it, we use our degree to go about our life. Is that all? No. We don't feel fulfilled. We don't feel fulfilled. Instead, we get even more driven. So that one is called lobha, lobha. Wanting, pursuing, achieving, consuming, that's lobha in Abhidhamma. So today, I just want to talk about these two. The other one, we talk about that next week. Remember two systems here. One is threat-focused system. The other is incentive-focused system. Or threat-focused mind and incentive-focused mind. Two. Threat system, this is focus. The Abhidhamma analysis the threat focus into four cetasikas, into four mental factors. The first one, we translate this as hatred. Hatred, Actually, it's just dosa. It includes irritation. It includes insecure feeling. It includes fear. It includes anger. So the word hatred, don't take the word hatred literally. So try to remember the Pali word dosa. The first one is dosa. So there's hatred, fear, insecure feeling, irritation, all that. Anxiety also. The second one, envy, is without E, Without E, E-N-V-Y, envy. Envy is when we look at other people's achievement, look at other people's beauty, we look at other people's achievement, other people's salary, other people's promotion, other people's popularity, other people's house, car. We look at them and we feel threatened. We feel threatened. We feel insignificant. We feel that we will be dominated, okay, by their presence, by their existence. So this one is also a threat. It belongs to the threat system. Envy. It can happen in the office. It can happen in the social circle when somebody dresses up very nicely. And on that day, what if you haven't really taken care of, the proper dressing on the day? So people feel threatened. People feel threatened. We are going to look at the list later. Okay, this is Israel is Sanskrit. Pali is called Issa. I-S-S-A, Issa. The first one is dosa. This one is Issa. Okay. And avarice. This one is about stinginess. Is about being mean. Earlier, envy focuses on other people's belonging, other people's existence. And you feel insecure. But with the third one, okay, avarice, this one, you don't focus on other people's belonging, property, popularity. You don't focus on others. Instead, you focus on yourself. You focus on yourself and you don't want to share. You feel insecure. You feel threatened to be sharing. To be sharing space with other people, to be sharing food, to be sharing information, useful information, to be sharing your friend with other people. You feel threatened, you feel insecure that other people might take your friends away. And your friend may not remain as warm and friendly as before. So you feel threatened. That is why you don't want to share your friendship with others. This one we consider to be part of dosa. In lobha, dosa, moha. In 3, this is part of dosa. In Pali, it's called Macharya. In Pali, Macharya. Macharya. Okay, is in Bhikkhu Buddhist translation. And the last one is worry. Worry, anxiety, worry. Worry is defined here as worry about something that we should have done and we haven't done it. Or to worry about something we have done that we shouldn't have done. So it is about regret. It's about regret. But if it's anxiety, I would put it in the first one, in dosa. So we have 4 under the threat system, okay? Number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. Number 1, the translation from Bhikkhu Bodhi is called hatred. As I mentioned earlier, it's more than hatred, is more than hatred. It's anger, irritation, anxiety. Okay, all those things. They belong to number 1. So the word hatred can be misleading sometimes if we use it inflexibly. So there's problem with translation to catch up with the sense that the original Pali word conveys. The second one is You see, envy, many people would think that this one should belong to greed. No. Why? Okay, when first maybe we want what somebody has. If we want what somebody has, that may be greed. But by looking at what somebody else has and we don't have, we start feeling insecure. That insecure feeling is the very characteristic of envy. Sometimes we call this jealousy. It's the same. Envy and jealousy, I understand them to be the same. Because they focus on other people's status, property, achievements. Yeah. But sometimes we focus on what we have. We fear that we will lose out. We will be losing by sharing what we have with other people. This thought is also destructive. That is why it belongs to this system. Of course, the last one basically is understood as regret. Can we go to the next one, the next chart? Here you can look at the lower part. There's a drive system. There's a lower. In the drive system, Abhidhamma analysis into three. One is greed, in Pali loba. Loba. Okay. This is about want, not about need. Okay. Going about fulfilling our need cannot be considered as greed. But we can have a bigger need. For example, if you look at how the world is in a dire need of a vaccine to prevent this COVID-19. So you focus on this need and you work hard to earn more money, and you use some of the money that you earn to support the vaccine research. So now you are focused on the need. That cannot be considered greed. Instead, it can be considered as compassion. I'll be repeating this next week. Okay. But here, when we say greed, we are talking about promoting ourselves, wanting recognition from other people. For other people, that we have this, we have that. So in a way, it's a self-focus. Self-focus. This is the characteristic of greed. Not every, acquiring of things, obtaining of things is greed. Not everything is greed. Okay. But the intention is very important. The focus is very important. If you focus on, for example, you want to be successful, so that you can hire more people, and those people will be looking after their family. And everybody will be paying taxes, and with those taxes, you contribute to the whole society. That is why it's important that you succeed. It's important that you earn more. In that sense, your intention is based on compassion, not on greed. So not everyone who earns more, not everyone who works hard is greedy. It's important to know this. This is a subject that Buddhist monks don't want to touch on. Because many people think that you need to give up everything and to own anything is greedy. No. Actually, we need to take care of ourselves. We need to take care of our family, our community, our bigger community if possible. Okay, to take care of people from other countries, from other parts of the world. So if you have that in mind and you work hard, you earn more. This is not greed. The second in the system, in the drive system, is called wrong view. Wrong view. When we talk about wrong view, we are talking about personalizing things, because through that, okay, we become attached to what we personalize. It may be an opinion, it may be a material, it may be a concept, it may be an identity. Okay, we consider them to last forever. And with that, okay, we have wrong view. So wrong view is to see things as impermanent, to see things as universal. If there are hitches to the internet operation, if we personalize it, okay, other people don't have it, only us having this. If there is any problem in the family, if you think you are the only family with this kind of problem, other people have a perfect family, that's wrong view, because you personalize it. With that personalization tendency, what goes on in your mind is that you think this problem is going to last forever. The third one is conceit. Conceit. In Western psychology, the conceit is, I think, is about being boastful, is about looking down on other people. But here, when we say conceit, in Pali it's called mana. Okay, mana. Wrong view is ditthi, this one is mana. This mana is actually more than that. It's more than looking down on other people. If I may use psychological terminology to explain this, we have superiority complex, inferiority complex, two complexes that we are quite well aware of. The Buddhist text, the Buddhist commentary would add another one, equality complex. Three kinds of complexity. Superiority complex is clear. We feel we are superior. We feel we are superior to other people. So other people are not as good as us. When self-confidence, okay, is not checked, when we rejoice in our own ability and we feel confident, But when we don't extend that rejoicing to other people, when we don't rejoice in other people's ability, what happens is that, okay, we feel we are better than anyone. That's superiority complex. With superiority complex, we obviously despise, look down on other people. People normally understand this to be conceit. But as I said earlier, conceit in Abhidhamma also includes inferiority complex. When you feel inferior, lack of confidence, this is also, it also belongs to this. But sometimes you can also feel insecure. But here, okay, if the insecure feeling becomes strong and you start rejecting things, it starts becoming inhibiting, meaning it becomes a hindrance towards your thinking. Then we are no longer in the drive system, we go back to the thread system. We start with mana, with conceit, or with inferiority complex, but now we move to the thread system, we move to dosa. We become threatened. We feel inferior and we become threatened. Meaning when we become threatened, we can become aggressive. We can become aggressive. So if we don't become aggressive, if we don't become compulsive, but we just feel very low, okay, lack of confidence, that would be inferiority complex. In Pali is called hina mana. That's feeling inferior. So superiority complex and inferiority complex, they are the two sides of the same coin. If you feel superior to some people, when you feel other people who are doing quite well, maybe better than you, you would certainly feel inferior. In addition to these two complexity, there's another one, equality complex. When you see people of the same standard, the same achievement, the same rank, and if you have an attitude, why should I care? I'm as good, okay, I'm as maybe rich and educated. If you have this attitude, this attitude is also about clinging. It's about clinging. So conceit is about clinging. Wrong view is about clinging as well, about grasping. So the drive system, all of them, three of them, is about grasping. It's actually very interesting if you compare this with Western psychological analysis of what do we call? Sorry, it doesn't come to me. Conceit, long-lasting, and then self-love, narcissism. Okay, the Western psychological analysis of narcissism is self-love. Okay, you love yourself too much. It becomes an extreme. So that one we can put in the greed. Greed is not just about things, okay, about belonging. It's more than that. And wrong view is what is pronounced here is, what is more pronounced here is the wish for something we like to last forever. So that's wrong view. And the other one is conceit. So those three together, we call them narcissism. Of course, when these three factors are excessive. And if you look at the upper part of this diagram, you have four. They are called unwholesome universes. The negative emotion we call moha, okay? Moha or delusion. That delusion also has a group of four. Moha. Number one, delusion is to see something other than reality. Delusion. The prominent one is when we see something not as it is, we start clinging to it. So delusion is considered to be the principal unwholesome cetasika, unwholesome matter factor. And Abhidhamma believes that delusion work with the drive system, meaning all the three loba factors. Also the four dosa factor, the thread system. That is why they are called universal. Delusion. The first one is called moha. The second one, shamelessness. What do you mean by this is a translation? Shamelessness about immoral action. Okay, about immoral action. No shame in doing something bad. In doing something bad. That's called shamelessness. And the third one, fearlessness of wrong. Again, this is translation. Fearlessness. Fearlessness, usually we understand this to be fearless of the consequences of our action. Meaning we don't care. We don't care about the consequences of our action. The earlier one, the shameless one, means we are not shameful, okay, doing something immoral, doing something unethical. We have no shame. These two, they usually go together. The Buddha would mention them together. In Western psychology, we would call this conscience. Yeah. One other definition I can give you is that shamelessness. With shamelessness, you focus on yourself. With fearlessness of wrong, you focus on other people. What do I mean by this? Okay, when you do something unethical, you do something wrong, but you don't really care what happened to you, that can be considered shamelessness. So it's a little bit awkward translation if you go by the translation itself. But I'm giving this definition from the commentary. So if you focus Or say, if you don't care about yourself, and as a result you do something improper, so that's called shamelessness. The second, fearlessness, you don't care about other people and you do something wrong, that's called fearlessness. So you can see the translation themselves are imperfect, and they can be misleading. That is why it's important to read the definition. The Buddha said, without these two, we never do anything wrong. But when we do something immoral, unethical, these two are always present. We don't care about whether our action is ethical or not, and we don't care about its consequences. The last one is restlessness. This is quite clear. When the mind is not concentrated, when the mind is not calm, when there's no mindfulness, when the mind is very restless, we make a lot of mistakes. In 2014, I think, psychologists and neurologists in America, they did a research how concentrated or restless people are. So during the 8 working hours, they would send a question through texts, through SMS, to the people who agree to participate in the research. They would ask 3 questions. The first question is, when you receive this message, is your mind on the task you are doing, you are working on? Number 1 question. Number 2, at the time you receive this message, are you happy or not happy? So that's emotion. Restlessness and emotion, they will have to link it. The third one is that when you receive this message, are you aware of your colleagues and their work? Are you aware of it? The conclusion they got is that 40% of the time at work, our mind is elsewhere, not on the task we are supposed to be working on. So nearly half of the time, our mind is restless. It just operates on autopilot. At that moment, the neurologists also say we make more mistakes. So you can see here what the Buddha said. Restlessness is part of all the unwholesome thought, unwholesome action, unwholesome speech. That is why we need to do meditation. We need to develop more concentration. We need to develop more awareness, more mindfulness. If we do so, we will care more about our action. We care more about ethics, about the consequences of our actions. Now, what we need to understand is that when there is greed, these 4 unwholesome universals, they are there. Because we are deluded, that is why we are greedy. We are greedy because we don't care if our action affects other people. if the consequences of our action, are detrimental to other people's health, happiness, harmony, long life, we don't care. So when we try to understand greed, we need to understand greed also in the context of delusion, in the context of shamelessness, in the context of fearlessness, in the context of restlessness. In other words, greed, when we talk about a person being greedy, that person is also restlessness. That person is restless. That person also doesn't care about other people, about the well-being of other people. So that's the Abhidhamma thinking. Abhidhamma thinking. I'd like to conclude, before I go to the last group, the last group. In clinical psychology and neurology, they talk about 3 systems, and today I talk about 2. And I link them to the 3 poison or the 3 unwholesome roots of emotion, the roots of 3 negative emotions. The drive system is lobha, and lobha directly, it has 3 members. It has greed, wrong view, and conceit. But the drive system also gets support whenever it operates, whenever it functions. It gets support from the 4 unwholesome universes. Whenever there's wrong view, there is delusion, there is shamelessness, there is fearlessness of consequences, and there is restlessness. Whenever there is superiority complex or inferiority complex or equality complex, you get also those 4 unwholesome universes. One detail, I wasn't quite sure whether I should mention this because I don't want to confuse you. The drive system here in this chart, we have 3: greed, wrong view, and conceit. The compendium of Abhidhamma would say that wrong view and conceit, they don't operate at the same time. They belong to the same system. They belong to the root of greed. But they don't operate at the same time. So in the 5th lecture, we will be discussing about this. At the moment, I just would like to touch upon this. That's all. And I have also explained about the threat system. In the threat system, you have 4 of them. You have hatred, you have envy, you have avarice, and you have worry. When any of those 4 function, you would have the 4 unwholesome universes working with them as well. When somebody is worried, when we are worried about something, partly because we are deluded. We are deluded. Partly because we are restless. When we talk about shamelessness and fearlessness, this is about not caring about other people, meaning lack of compassion. Lack of compassion. Lack of understanding, both. Lack of understanding of the consequences, not caring about if the consequences of our action will impact on other people. And then. So this is the system. Can we go, audience? Can we go to the the list of 14 unwholesome factors, 14. I'm sorry, in Abhidhamma, you will have to get familiarized with these lists, okay? But if you understand the basic explanation that I have given you, is quite easy. Okay, this is the whole unwholesome mental factors. I have already explained the first 4: delusion, shamelessness, fearlessness of wrong, and restlessness. Greed, wrong view, conceit, those 3 they belong to the drive system. Hatred, envy, avarice, worry, they belong to threat system. They reject things. Okay, they are repulsive. The last 3 we haven't talked about: sloth, torpor, and doubt. Sloth and torpor, this is about laziness, about the mind withdrawing, the mind being, the mind lacking energy. The mind lacking energy. Sloth and torpor. I don't know how to distinguish, okay, in English. In the original understanding of the word sloth and torpor, how people understand it, I don't know. But if you understand more of negative emotion that you would come across in daily life. Okay, any question?
There's a question here from Sarah Matheson. Hello, from Sarah Matheson. She wants to know, could you describe the equality complex?
The quality of?
The equality complex. You said inferior.
Oh, equality. Not quality, equality.
Equality, yeah?
Yeah, equality complex. Equality complex is, okay, when you think you are the same with someone and you don't, as a result, you develop some conceit. What should I care about this man, this woman, this person? Okay, I'm as good as this person. You see, instead of appreciating the person, you feel threatened. As a result, you feel the need to reject this person.
You're dragging everyone down to your own level.
Yeah.
There's another question here. Could you repeat about the study university mentioned? I'm not quite sure what that was. I'm not sure, Bruno, if that's the question are you referring to Shan State University or?
No. The study that I talk about, I think restlessness. How restless people are. Okay. If you can get rid of this small book from Harvard Business School. No, from Harvard Business School review. Okay, that's a small book called Mindfulness. Of course, you can still Google. You can Google and find this article also. Even TED Talk, I think Dr. Richard Davidson has spoken about this under the title of The Emotional Life of Our Brain. So if you Google them, you will find this research. Okay, it's about how mindless we are during the day, even during working hour. We are supposed to be very energetic, very focused during the working hour. Nevertheless, 47% of the time, our mind operates on autopilot. Okay. So restlessness. Restlessness is quite pervasive.
No, there's another question from T. Ree. Did you say that Loba is narcissism earlier?
Yes. Loba is part of narcissism. Narcissism can be viewed, from Loba. Loba is about grasping, is about clinging. Narcissism is about grasping, is about clinging. It's about clinging to your identity and develop, those complexity around that. You want your identity, the identity that you have created, you want it to last forever. And with that, you also think you are better than others. Yeah. Loba, dosa, and moha out of three, narcissism belong to Loba. Of course, whenever Loba operates, moha is always there.
There's another question here from Ita's iPhone. And it's a question, newborn human is always born with Loba and Moha?
Yes, I'm afraid so. We, in a sense that, we cling to life, we really treasure our life. Attachment to life. Yeah. But that in itself, although in terms of roots, is unwholesome, I think that's the drive that we have that gives us resilience. And maybe we need to turn that into something positive. Yeah. More question?
No more questions. Hang on, wait, there is, I think there is another one. I think. No, I don't think so. But there's just one note. For us who are attending this course, if we want to get the notes, you should write to the Buddhist Society, info@thebuddhistsociety.org, and put Abhidhamma in the subject and provide your first name and second name. And then you'll get the resources for the class and the slides and the notes and everything else. And I think that helps because in between the classes, you can then study and go over what we've done. But can I thank you again? Thank you very, very much.
Thank you. Before we go, can I give you homework? Okay. Last week we studied this 52 Abhidhamma, and the last 25 is called beautiful cetasika. So if you can have a look at that for next week discussion, that would be good. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. Thank you.